Good evening and welcome to Story Hour. I'm tonight's host, Laura Blackwell. My co-host, the marvelous Daniel Marcus, is off tonight, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He started this thing over 3 years ago, and it's just been so much fun. We keep coming back every Wednesday, and we have two fantastic authors every single Wednesday. And this time we even got two who haven't been on Story Hour before, which is pretty darn cool. That doesn't happen a lot anymore. So Daniel, he's awesome. We can give him a night off every now and then. Story Hour is made possible by a giver's grant from SIFWA, and we are very grateful to you for that, SIFWA. Thank you. Welcome back to those of you returning, and welcome to those of you here for the first time. As always, we do have our two fantastic writers, and they're reading for some favorite nonprofits. Tonight's readers are Jiang and Wen-yi Li. If you can, please consider donating to tonight's featured nonprofits, I Hope Canada and Jiang is reading for I Hope Canada. I Hope Canada is a student-led initiative supporting families affected by childhood eye cancer. With goals of empowerment, education, and community building, I Hope Canada sponsors large-scale projects including a charity concert, an anthology of writing and art, and a mural at a community center. You can learn more at iHope, that's iHopeCanada.com. Wen-yi Li is reading for Icariana. Icariana is a community-based, nonprofit, professional organization working with lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and queer individuals, couples, and families in Singapore since 1999. That's a pretty venerable organization. Icariana conducts events and publishes literature in several languages. Its mission is to help LGBTQ+ persons make informed decisions that strengthen their beings and to help them achieve fulfilling lives. You can learn more at icariana.com. I'd also like to say from Story Hour specifically that we are all thinking very much still of some other writers, and those would be the WGA writers, the screenwriters and TV writers who are currently on strike. The Entertainment Community Fund, formerly the Actors Fund, provides a safety net for those in the performing arts and entertainment fields over their lifespan, and they are running a strike fund for the WGA strikers. The strike has been going on for longer than I think anyone expected. We would really like for people to be able to put food on the table while they're waiting to get the negotiations to go through. They really are just trying to get the basics, and I think it's great to check out what they're doing and what they're doing at the Entertainment Community Fund at entertainmentcommunity.org, and donate if you can. If you're here on Zoom, feel free to leave your camera on. It can be nice for our readers to see their audience, and chime in on the text chat on the right if you like. If you're joining us on Facebook, thank you. I'm not checking that quite as much though, so behave. And in Grand Story Hour tradition, our first reader is the one who's calling in from the furthest away. Wen-yi Li is our first ever reader calling in from Singapore. Wen-yi Li likes writing about girls with bite, feral nature, and ghosts. And her forthcoming debut novel, The Dark We Know, coming from Zando in 2024, has a bit of all three. A Clarion West alum from Singapore, her work has appeared in Nightmare, Strange Horizons, and Uncanny, among others, and in various anthologies. She can be found on social media at Wen-yi Li, that's WENYILEE_, and otherwise at wenyileewrites.com. Wen-yi, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, gosh, halfway across the world.
Well, I mean, it's Zoom. It's not too far, actually. Just
It
hopping on
still
a
feels
screen.
special to me.
It's nice to be here. Yeah, so shall I just go right into it?
Go right on into your stories.
Okay. I feel like I was sort of debating what order to do these in. I have like a horror piece and then like a cute, um, more fluffy piece. But I feel like since my bio was talking about girls with bite, etc., etc., I feel like I have to start with the horror piece. So I'm gonna do that. So I think Lara's gonna drop the link somewhere. This is called Laura Lau Will Drain You Dry. It appeared in Nightmare a few months ago. And yeah, it's a sort of Jennifer's Body-esque inspired teenage girl revenge story. Yeah, okay. So 9:48 a.m. Can I see your tits? Please. 10:02 a.m. Sad face emoji. The day after the picture of your boobs gets sent around the school, a mosquito lands on your tongue and bursts like a ripe cherry. You are crying in the disabled stall of the girls' bathroom where you took the photo to begin with. You hate that you're back here, but it's where you were that day 4 months ago because it's the only private mirror in the whole fucking school. It's exactly the same. Paint stained, clogged up sink, graffiti all over the door that you've contributed to, no toilet paper on the roll. You are crying because you didn't know until your friend Maya texted you that morning. Did you know? And when you got to school, all the boys were looking at you, and one of them looked at your chest, looked up at you, and said, "So you're stuffing them, or what?" You grip the broken sink and girl boss yourself into stopping the cheers. You don't fucking cry in school. You are the it girl, captain of the netball team, one half of the hottest couple in school. Or at least you were, until you yelled at Dell too long and he dumped you. You forgot about sending him that picture, or at least you never thought he'd do anything like this. Everyone knows it came from him, even though it was anonymously uploaded. But who the fuck cares enough to do anything about it? There's a whine in your ear that sounds almost understandable. At first, you think you're hallucinating and it's just the broken lights. Why does the school have so much money to throw at useless merch and not enough to fix the lights? But then the mosquito darts across your reflection. You smash it, hard enough to shake the stained mirror. You breathe heavily, shocked by the sudden rush of exhilaration. When you peel your palm away, the bug is streaked across your skin, a dark smudge of wings and blood, one leg spasming like a static antenna. You lift your stained palm up next to your tear-stained face, stare at the two things side by side in the mirror. You don't know what comes over you, but you turn and lick the blood off your hand. It tastes like copper, but also something sweet, something carbonated. It fizzles on your tongue. A heat shoots through your veins, and when you blink again, your eyes are miraculously dry and unpuffy. You don't think much of it until you're in math class, and there's a mosquito on the neck of the boy in front of you. He's one of Dell's friends. When you turned around to pass down the worksheet, you felt his gaze siphon something out of you. Now, doing trig functions, you watch the mosquito swell like a dark little cherry with his blood. Your restlessness fades away suddenly, replaced by a sharp clarity. A strange warmth seeps into your throat. The swollen mosquito takes wobbly flight. It bobs drunkenly toward you, 6 legs and a blur of wings, proboscis fluttering. There's that whine again in the back of your head, but this time you can make out what it says. Drink. This time you can tell it's coming from the insect. This time you recognize the glee, the reverence, the offering. You open your mouth just slightly. The mosquito flies past your lips. Its thread-like feet settle lightly on your taste buds. You close your mouth, curl your tongue, and swallow. It's like fireworks going down. You can't help but gasp. The boy turns around and does a tiny double take. He doesn't even seem suspicious. Instead, he looks a little stunned. Wow, he stammers. You look really good today. You don't know how to respond. You want gum? He whispers, rummaging in his pocket. You accept the stick, your brain neurons firing. As you take it, your fingers brush the back of his hand, and he visibly shivers. He watches you almost giddily as you pop the gum into your mouth. It's grape flavored, but as you chew, a succulent tang seeps in, making your throat dry up with a sudden thirst. Your teacher snaps at the both of you, and the boy turns reluctantly back around, allowing you to view the red bump that has blossomed on the back of his neck. You can feel the heat coming off of it. Huh, you think. 3:21 p.m. Okay, but I think you're always just finding excuses. You can't always be saying you're moody and your period's coming. I'm not asking for much. All you have to do is suck. You are a slut. You are a goddess. You are a mythic bitch. The boys can't figure out why they love you so much when they were slandering the fuck out of you being a psycho a week ago, but now their pulse starts jumping whenever you come near. They trip every time you pass them, stuttering out some offer to carry your books or buy your lunch or run to get you an iced tea. You have never had to pay for so little in your life. Altogether, the swarm is a blanket of staticky voices wrapped around your brainstem saying, drink. They like you. They like you so much. You indulge them, send them all across the school. Drink. You figure out you can see through their eyes too if you try. You can see the chaos you leave in your wake. When you walk away, the boys deflate. When you wave goodbye, they linger in the receding shadow of your hand and sigh. The more you sit in a locked toilet cubicle with mosquitoes bursting boys' blood on your tongue, the less they can stop wanting you. How have you not gotten bitten? Maya complains at recess, scratching feverishly. You haven't deliberately been biting the girls, but with the number of bugs you've been summoning into the school, some of them are bound to go rogue. It's fine. It covers your tracks. Not sweet enough, I guess, you say. Across the cafeteria, Del pretends not to be watching you. He's scratching his ankle. Everyone around you is scratching, but it only inflames the skin. With every scritch, the heat builds in the air, thickens with the smell of sweat and skin and blood just beneath the surface. People try to bring electric swathers, but you make the mosquitoes dart cheerfully out of their reach. The static lingers in the air. Del is so mad. All his friends are falling to your feet. You feed extra on them. You make sure the bites blossom on their arms and neck like acne. You swill their blood around on your tongue to make it last. You swear you can taste the difference too. This one is the tennis player. This one is the debate champion. This one is the creep everyone says follows girls home. You are a slut. You are a bitch. You are a connoisseur. After Del's best friend runs 2 floors after you to bring you a dropped pen, your mosquitoes overhear Del spitting. What are you doing? What the fuck's gotten into all of you? He sounds insane. Even you can feel it across the space-time of a dozen mosquito eyes. He is completely out of touch. He is so filled with this irrational hate. It makes him afraid, and the fear makes him angrier. I told you she's a psycho. His friend takes a step back, as though Del has just insulted his mother or Jesus or something. Dude, maybe you're overreacting. He walks away, probably dreaming of you, and Del is left standing there, gaping. This is when you know that you have won. You have shot back up to the top of the market, and Del cannot be the only one without a stake. You have screwed with his head so beautifully. From the next hallway over, you pull back from the mosquitoes to send Del a text. Meet me at the car park after school. Just want to talk. We'll make it worth it, I promise. You are on the roof of the multi-story car park behind your ex-boyfriend's house. You picked this place because the two of you used to make out here all the time. You picked this place because you remember every single damn time you sat here with your school skirt hiked up and your tie tightening around your throat. You got bitten on your thighs, like the bugs wanted a piece of the action too. You are on the roof of the multi-story car park behind your ex-boyfriend's house, and you hear the voices in the drains, the cracked lights, the murky undercarriage of the stalled cars. Drink, they whine. And because they've been learning from you, they've started evolving. Blood. They're so proud of their new word. Blood. In response, you hum. Del emerges from the stairwell. He stops when he sees you, as though he didn't actually expect you to be here. Laura, he says, what is this? But you know you have him by the way he's looking at you, because you promised, and now he is remembering all the other times you fulfilled promises. You picked this place to Pavlov his dick. You have him because he's here, because he couldn't resist, even now, even after what he did to you, not that he thinks he did anything. I miss you, you say. It's possible he says something in reply, and you say something else, and there is actually a conversation in which you have to convince him. But the next thing you know, his tongue is down your throat. The bugs are needy and have no sense of timing. You can feel them hovering impatiently, and it takes all your willpower to keep them back. Wait, you tell them as your buttons pop. Wait, not yet, we're not ready. Your top comes entirely off, and then your bra. You're too eager to get him naked, but luckily he doesn't realize. He's too eager himself. His heat pulsates against your skin, his whole body hot and electric. He mauls your chest and bites your neck, and you think now. At first, it looks like his shadow, something overhead getting in the way and dispersing the light. But the dark swath in the shape of him lifting off the ground are your mosquitoes. There's so many of them, you can barely see through the cloud. Their high-pitched excitement crescendos in your head as they descend on him. Blood! You tug him close, dig your nails into his back. He moans as they sink their proboscis into his skin and start to drink. You feel him getting slower, though, and the moment it becomes too much for him, he chokes and goes stiff in your arms. You lean back and push him off before he can collapse on you. Slightly delirious, you think he's grown back hair, but no, those writhing lines are the swarm. They coat his back, his ass, his thighs, swelling into grapes that make your mouth water. So you sit there on your knees, tits out, mouth open. The mosquitoes land on your tongue so many times at a time you lose track. You swallow and swallow. They pop in your throat, bursts of hot, salty rivulets that make your body shudder. They keep coming, and Dell's skin is throbbing blister pack of bites now, and he is growing paler and paler and paler. And as you take all of him, you can almost hear him thinking, "This bitch." Yeah, so that Laura Lau. I had a lot of fun writing this one. Just very cathartic, very fun to write. Yeah, okay. So the second story is a flash that appeared in Baffling magazine at the end of last year, and is also appearing in Neon Hemlocks, We're Here, the Best Queer Speculative Fiction of 2022, which is publishing in the near future. I think the cover was just released. Go check it out. It's an amazing lineup. But this story is in there. It's called Icariana, kind of inspired by the Icarus myth, obviously. I find her by the riverbed after the end of the world, wings tucked under her grubby ribs. Some new kind of being, or else some rich maniac's attempt to engineer Homo Dukes before it all went down, or went up. Tides, lava, nukes, spaceships, those last ones especially, aren't ever coming back down. I've come across my fair share of bodies, but none of them alive and none of them winged. She blinks groggily as I carry her out of the scorching sun. Home is a cave dressed up like one. I lay her down on the mattress. She weighs less than the portable generator, and fetch a cup of water. She sips with puckered lips. She's hollowed out, hungry, exhausted, dehydrated, if the fourth cup is anything to go by, but she doesn't actually look much older than me under all of it. Slim brown eyes and shorn dark hair, roundish face, and of course the wings, spilling from the slits in her dress. They're like grimy clouds across my bed. What's your name? I don't know if she can speak. Her motor control seems fine, but Seraphine, she says. All right, that's a little on the nose, but I'll take it. Seraphine's voice is surprisingly smooth, low and clear like a warning bell. Everyone else, well, the few that are left, rasps in their voice like they swallowed the generation ship's dust clouds. I'm Kaya, I reply. Let me get you something to eat. Seraphine doesn't remember much, but she says she remembers flying. She tries some experimental lifts, but her body crumples before she can get a foot off the ground. Her wings shed feathers that fall mutely as I catch her. You need to get your strength back. Flying, she murmurs desperately into my chest, half conscious, less a behavior than an instinct. Strength, I reply. Strength is food. I can scrounge up a decent amount. There's not a lot of variety, but I'm not picky. My goat does the heavy lifting. Cheese, milk, everything's silk and creamy. I know where to find cactus and nuts and dates if the season is right. There are dwindling bags of beans and tough grains from the last time I stumbled on a caravan. Water is precious. After her first day, we drink in small measures. These are the blight lands. The sun came too close, and we do our best not to shrivel. I get used to cooking for two and to sitting opposite someone while I eat. Seraphine eats like a bird of prey, sharp, tearing bites. Fortunately, she's not picky either. She likes the cheese. I start making more of it. I show her how to cut open cactuses and scoop out their insides. She's deft with her fingers. I demonstrate how to make nut paste and milk curds. Once she asks, is there anything you miss eating? Well, anything with flour, beef, carrots, rice, unthinkable in this dryness, chocolate. But instead I find myself saying strawberries, luxurious, sweet things. I had them once as a kid when trade was on its last legs and the growers hadn't been yet packed off past the atmosphere. A fruit? I wonder again where she's from, what holes she was locked up in. So many things seem new to her. Not the abandoned planet, though. That she never asks about. Yeah, fruit. I describe it and think of Mom. Maybe they still have it way up north still, but it wouldn't grow here. Seraphine grows stronger every day. I start thinking about going upstream, north. There's rumors it's less scorched there, that things actually grow. I haven't wanted to before because I've built too much safety here to abandon for maybes. But now that Seraphine's practically healthy, my encampment seems less safe and stale compared to the way she moves through it. Like my world is too small to fit her. In my quiet moments, I look at her and think we could risk the maybes. Then one day she says, I want to fly again. Oh, I say. Somehow I'd forgotten. We stand on the cliff above the caves. There's a decent northeasterly wing, a little cloud cover. Seraphine's tried some jumps and experimental flexes, but this is showtime. I realize I'm terrified before I can speak. I don't even know what I want to say, but Seraphine steps off the edge. The world tumbles, and then her wings snap out and my breath swallows itself. Whoosh, and a twist and a laugh, and a burst of white feathers arcs past me. Seraphine slices through the air. Her wings burn with the reflected light of the sun, the glow almost harsh. She circles before darting skyward again. Suddenly she's tiny, and then she's diving again, wingspan eclipsing the sun. But while I'm staring at her, she's staring at the horizon. I need to fly out further, she shouts. My euphoria crashes. How far? She shakes her head, half a shrug, face obscured by feathers in motion. As far as I can go. It's a lack of a question that hurts the most. I want to grab her legs, hold on, never let go, even if it sends us both plummeting into the scorched earth. But I don't. I make a gesture that I think means okay. I smile, I let her fly, and slowly she vanishes from sight. Gulls with wings were made to soar. Gulls with nothing get left behind. That's the way the world works, even after it ends. I make my way back down the cliff. I have so much space and too much cheese. But 7 nights later, there's a thud outside. I freeze, slowing on the butane crank. There isn't another sound, but I know better than to trust silence. I grab my prod and climb up to the cave entrance just as the shadow descends. I can't bring myself to believe it, but Seraphine is there tucking her wings in as I gape. She smiles like my head isn't spinning to pieces and lifts her cup hands. It took longer to find than I thought. Strawberries, fat, red, still dewy. Where? My mouth asks, even though I know. North, she says, just like you said. There's people up there, Kaya. In this moment, I don't tell her about all the times when she was gone that I started thinking about jerky and portable rations, things I'd have to leave and things I could bring along to go after her, to go anywhere that wasn't still and scorched and lonely. Right now, I just show her how to pluck the leaves off the fruit. There's only 6, 3 each. Every burst of juice makes the lump in my throat grow. They taste like somewhere I've forgotten, somewhere I could know again. When the berries are gone and my hands are sticky, I ask her to tell me all about it. She begins, far up the river, there is a field. Thank you. That's Laura Lau and Icariana.
Thank you very much. Those were both very intense, although very different.
Well, it was meant to end on a happy note, I think. I'm not sure where I's going to take it, but I'll end on a happy note.
That's great. Oh. Everybody, between the authors, we like to just take a moment and finish absorbing the stories we just heard. Take a breath and get ready for the next ones. That was Wen-yi Lee, everybody. Thank you. And next up, we have Jiang. Jiang is a Chinese-Canadian writer, a Nebula Award finalist, and an immigrant from Fujian. She is a member of HWA, SFWA, and Codex. Her work can be found in FNSF, The Dark, and Uncanny, among others. She is the recipient of Odyssey Workshop's 2022 Fresh Voices Scholarship and the author of Ling Hun, which is really fun, and I Am I. Find her on Twitter at Jiang, that's AIJIANG_, and online at ichang.ca. Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is our
Well,
pleasure.
that is a tough act to follow from Wen-yi, but I will try my best. Um, yeah, so I have two stories. Both of them are very dark, so I might end with the less dark one, I suppose. So I'll start with our Metamorphosis, which was published in a Cronenberg fanzine. It's body horror and also a romantic tragedy inspired by Cronenberg and Octavia E. Butler's Lilith Brood. So just listen to me and no one else. Your alien lover is kind and told you that there's no need to become one of them. But I know deep inside, like me, you want to be. When they and their people landed on our planet, love was not the first thing that came to our minds, but love was the seed they eventually planted in us when they discovered that it was such a manipulative chemical thing for humans. It isn't, though, to you, is it? It wasn't for me either. Love to us is something unexplainable. Even before they altered our hormones to increase our attraction to them, we were already smitten. They are grotesque, yes, but you're right, they are also kind. Kindness is always such a double-edged sword, isn't it? And kindness is a manipulation in disguise. I would warn you, but that would be no benefit to me. It is better if you are hopeful. Just like how not everyone will survive surgery, we may not survive the transformation. I didn't. But you should try to be so completely and utterly with your love, even if it means betraying your human body. And if you fail, don't worry, with your death, I can be reborn. I will try again, perhaps with the same love, a different love, or perhaps with your love. But don't fuss. You can find a replacement too, for ghosts like me never remain one for long. My love told me they would never find another, but they did, right after my death, during my funeral, with another woman I followed before you, a woman who survived the transformation, unfortunately. She is as horrible as she is beautiful, and sometimes those two things aren't so different. You've noticed by now that I follow you, always lips close to your ears, the insistent whisper you can't get rid of what you believe is the other you that you cannot see. But I am not you and you are not me. It's all right. You don't need to know. Just keep listening to my voice and everything will be okay. It bothers you, doesn't it? The way their gnarled fingers, brittle like soaked parchment that has long since dried, chafes and flakes before snapping each week to make room for the next. Don't think I don't notice the way you tremble under their touch, wanting to love it as much as you love their mind, their sweet words that mimic human speech, but not quite. You long to know their language, but your tongue cannot hope to imitate it and your mind too tangled to understand. You watch, with curiosity rather than physical attraction, the way their muscles rippled in their back. Though it is not muscle, but large protruding veins, the same ones crawling up and down their 8 arms and 6 tentacled legs. And you watch with envy how much stronger than you they seem faster, how much they can do with the same amount of time, but with less effort. Yes, you love them, but you're also jealous of them. And of course, you want to be like them. Wanting to be with someone and wanting to be someone isn't so different at times, is it? You claw at your ear both in hopes to remove my whispers from tainting your thoughts, your brain, but what you don't realize is that it is them you should be shunning, running away from. How just by being near them, your brain chemistry is changing your original thoughts, what human society had previously ingrained in your memories. And I don't tell you this though. Instead, I watch with growing impatience your decision to undergo the transformation, unaware that it will not only be changing you, it will be our metamorphosis. When they ask if you want children, you hesitate. They don't say it explicitly, but you know to have children with them would mean first becoming like them. The thought makes you both disturbed yet excited. Now it's difficult to distinguish whether excitement is from me or something you truly feel. You scratch at your arms, your legs, the implications of your decision causing eager anticipation, causing a daunting anxiety, causing excitement, causing stress. Don't stress. There is no need. It takes a while, but you seem convinced. Don't be afraid. I'll be right here with you all the way through. Your lover tells you where to go, the best metamorphosis of their kind, the one with the highest success rate, 5%. On the way to the hospital, you ask me again whether this is the right decision. Of course, of course, of course. Don't resist, the doctors say in unison, goggles on, masks pinched, heads secured with single-use caps. A whimper escapes you, but I hush you instantly, though not with any convincing firmness. Your intestines unwind, your bones snap, the cracks are louder than your screams, and they rejoin before splintering inside your body once again. To find the right shape, reform our human body into one that can hold the internals of their species that are double our size, double our strength, acids and fluids that are foreign to our systems, blood that is not red, not blood, but strange slimed substance that pulses and glowed in the vein under Khaled's skin, leather-like though not yet reptilian, but mixture of the fragility of human muscle tissues and goosebump skin and the hardness of shells that can weather disasters, but as malleable and adaptable as chameleons so they may travel to any planet without perishing in unfavorable environments. And all the while, all through the pain, in your mind is not fear but love. But I know you. Let your fear speak louder. Let it escape. That is what you want. You repress the thought, but I remain patient for now because I understand. Of course I do. We cannot follow them when they become bored with Earth unless we become exactly like them. They are but short-term settlers, but what you are looking for is a lifetime relationship. From their lips, they tell you that you have freedom. Yet what they stir within you is a desire to satisfy, a desire to submit, a desire to follow, even if it means that your path to them is a path to death. As soon as your path to darkness is set, their path to love shifts. They move on with you, without you. It doesn't matter to anyone but you. I don't need to see to feel this point that at this point your heart is fighting its final battle. For these aliens, their hearts are a strange hollow made of intricate woven veins, not a pounding chamber entity like ours. The hollow may grow to become an armor around our hearts, protecting it while we transform, or may engulf and smother the sound and rhythm of our life force like nothing, its unstable hunger winning over its instinct to protect. You will allow it, and you do. As you pass, I let you see my face for the first time. Your eyes stretch in surprise, but also from the transformation's pull until the skin around them splits, the eyeballs pops until they too disappear into the strange flesh mass that has consumed you from the inside. And I wait with closed eyes for my return to the world as your life slowly wanes in front of me. So that was our metamorphosis. All right. And the second one is called Of a Thousand Arms and More from Mother Anthology, Tales of Love and Terror. It's body horror about stress, anxiety, and a woman with a thousand arms. Homie woke up with a thousand arms today, though she usually woke up with this many, give or take a few. On certain days, perhaps she can even get the number down to mid-hundreds, but only on a really, really good day. Before she made her morning tea, caramel for headaches caused by the arms banging against her head the entire night, she checked on the little one now in preschool. There was another hour before both her husband Xingmu and their Lulu wakes up. But Homie had to work fast anyhow. Eggs in the pan, one scrambled, one poached, toast in the toaster, one for a minute, one for half that time, water in the boiler for the instant coffee mix, the vitamin juice, and of course, Homie's long-awaited tea. Then she rushed to wake the two still dreaming, whisking up the bags she prepped for them and placing them on the table by the door. A kiss on each head, one with knees bent, one on tiptoes, and the two were off with a quick thank you and a smiley I love you, and that was enough. As soon as the door closed and her family's blue Dodge van disappeared from the driveway, Homie's smile grew tired. Though she knew she should be content, her heart itched each time she scraped the leftovers into the trash and scrubbed at the dishes and glasses. There were 2 hours left before she had to work at the local travel agency, Dream Journeys. When she settled onto the couch in the living room, her weight crinkling the newspapers, she sat under herself. She was grateful for her employers allowing her to work part-time after her pregnancy and offered the same hours after. As much as she hated to admit it, it was these moments of quiet she enjoyed most during the day. She couldn't remember when was the last time she went on vacation. With her frontmost right arm, she reached over to her left and tugged, loosening the joint that connected the arm to her shoulder. Blossomed around her foremost arms were the thousand or so others. She had lost count since turning 18 when she had hundreds, perhaps as early as when she was in middle school, even though back then she had only tens. She heard the satisfying pop, and the arm dislocated, painless, as expected, though she, though she flinches anyhow because of the time she accidentally nicks the skin with a knife when preparing dinner or bumped into furniture too sharp. Those instances hurt. Sometimes when she was tired, it took a few tries because she'd done a sloppy job at whatever it was. Half mopped floors, sudsy dishes on the drying rack, still raw dinners. It was always a struggle when her mother-in-law visited. She never found anything Homie did satisfactory, and the arms knew, and the arms listened. And rather than detaching smoothly, the skin would hold on, ache, sear when she tried to pull, the joints groaning. But thankfully, not today, not right now. The skin around the arm, now hanging limp, flaked, but only where it had been removed from the shoulder, exposing the bone underneath. And as soon as Homie pulled the limb off entirely, the other surrounding arm shifted to close the gap, repairing the torn skin, hiding the bone once again, almost like she had never torn it off. She took a sip of tea before beginning. Delicate fingers plucked at the shredding arm. Homie's tongue folded the layers of skin and muscle into her mouth as she picked it apart, layer by layer, and swallowed, feeling each piece scratch down the walls of her throat. The external layer was one she always dreaded most, laced with the scent of sweat and the taste of dead skin, but the muscle was always a joy, the dense liquid that came with lining her tongue with the contentment of a finished task. She indulged in individual veins, even though she knew she often didn't have the time to, but today she did, or at least she convinced herself she did. When there was only bone left, she smoothed the edges down before. Like a sword eater, she slid the lengthier pieces in with her head tilted upwards before working on those smaller. Homie crunched each fingertip, each knuckle with her molars, bone on bone. And as she finished, she looked down, remnants of the arm littered across her clothing to remind her of her completed work, to remind her that there is still more to come. It should taste like success, according to many of her friends, but it was never quite as sweet as Homie imagined it to be. At least from what she could recall, the arms she consumed during her childhood were like sweet nectar. Now it tasted more of a grapefruit. She wrapped up the newspaper with scattered flakes and placed it with the recycling. Only then did her day start. It wasn't uncommon for Homie to daydream at work, imagining that the vacations she planned for each client were her own. She couldn't afford it, of course, neither monetarily or time-wise, but to have the daydreams was enough, though she often felt guilty because neither Xingmu or Lulu would be included in them, sometimes, but rarely. What would happen if she left her arms unconsumed? What would happen if she dislodged all her arms at once without completing each task attached to them first? What if, Homie? She looked up and met the eyes of her manager, Julian. Homie marveled at the number of arms they had, 200 at most. Julian cleared the throat. Homie tilted her head to the side. What is it? She wasn't initially concerned, but the way Julian's eyes opened wide and continued to widen with each second that had cold sweat breaking inside the fists she didn't realize she was making. On your lower back. They said nothing more, but Homie didn't give them a chance to anyhow as she rushed to the staff washroom down the hall. Homie turned to inspect her arms, though it didn't take long for her to locate what Julian was speaking about. A gnarled limb sat at the small of her back when she looked into the mirror, a small shriveled thing hidden among the 1,000 full-length arms in more or less perfect condition, though some had battered bruise over the week with overgrown or chipped fingernails and untamable hair like the tall swaying hay of farm fields because she kept pushing those to the bottom of her to-do list, convinced she still had time. There were other more urgent matters at hand. Homie's heartbeat quickened. Blood pulse rushed down each arm, tingling at the fingertips as she continued to stare at the anomaly. Homie hadn't had a clue what the memory, task, responsibility, or perhaps the person tied to this withered limb. She continued combing her mind for a possible explanation. She hadn't missed any deadlines yet. Homie picked up the grocery earlier that week, prepped several itineraries for her clients to review, scheduled Shimu and Lulu's dentist appointments, and even double-checked the checklist she taped to her desk, the copy of it secured with a Paris magnet from her client on the fridge, fed. How was she so foolish? How could she have missed it? Her mother-in-law would be visiting this evening, and Homie couldn't let her see the tragic limb. It was bad enough her husband and daughter would likely witness her failure. At the thought, the withered arm still dangling, barely hanging onto the small of her back prodded her, reminding her of its existence now that she was aware of it. She fed the cat now. If she fed the cat now, would it repair the situation? It would be painful trying to remove the limb, but it wouldn't be nearly as horrid if the limb detached on its own. The horror stories she read about such instances. Homie shuddered. She requested to leave earlier, only by half an hour. Her friend Avery Peters' condo was only a 5-minute walk from Homie's house, so the trip would be quick. As she neared the condo, thoughts of when exactly was the last time Homie had fed the cat bounced around her mind. A day ago? 2 days ago? A week? Surely it had not been that long. She would remember, wouldn't she? Homie feared the state of Avery's cat would be in when she arrived. What would she say to Avery? Homie hoped they wouldn't be too angry. Homie's hand shook when she scanned the fob in the elevator. The ride up to the 7th floor felt longer than her mother-in-law's stairs, while Homie cooked her traditional dishes in a way the elder woman disapproved of. It was as though every second might determine the life or death of Avery's cat. She couldn't even remember the small thing's name as she rushed out of the elevator as soon as the ding signaled its arrival and before the door even fully slid open. Unconsciously, she crossed the fingers of all her arms, not just the index and the middle either, but also the pinky and ring, tossed in the thumb too for good measures. With cautious steps after opening the door, Homie walked down the hallway towards Avery's living room, noiseless, as though any sound she made could cause death. Homie blew out a breath when she heard the slightest meow, her eyes darting to seek out the black cat whose name she now remembered was Ivory. She had forgotten she used to make fun of Avery for the ironic name in high school. She treaded to the kitchen and filled Ivory's bowl. There were a few minutes to spare before she needed to head home to prepare dinner for her family and mother-in-law. As she crouched and reveled in the softness of Ivory's short brown fur, but when she stood, she noticed the fish tank on the kitchen counter and floating at the top with the wrong side up with Avery's betta fish, dead. It was such a simple thing, and Avery hadn't tasked her with it, and clearly even forgotten it themselves. Yet Homie fell to her knees on top of the worn secondhand playmat she received a few years back from her aunt and gave to Avery when their child was born, stained with mashed squash she had tried to clean a week ago when she brought Lulu over, but failed. Clear tears darkened the dirty patches as they fell quicker and quicker still, barely catching at the point of Homie's chin before desperately trying to escape her pent-up pain. The average lifespan of a betta fish was only 5 years, and she knew Avery wouldn't have such an attachment to the pet as to be angry at her for the mistake. Homie could simply purchase another fish as a replacement, one that looked similar enough. But that wasn't the issue. This small mistake somehow unearthed all the feelings of incompetency that Homie had kept hidden over the years, all the incompetencies that her mother-in-law never failed to mention, a constant jabbing at not only just her heart, but each of her arms. She thought it would soon become a dull throbbing, but it hadn't. Homie had only become more afraid of failure, of forgetting something, of not performing well enough, of not being enough in the eyes of her mother-in-law. And encouragement? There was barely any of that, because there should be no praise for her in accomplishing her duties. She took a deep breath, wanted to think of nothing. Homie stared at the dead fish, made a mental note to buy a new one, and felt the arm of the task sprout in the place of the gnarled arm. Tomorrow she would bury the limb and the fish would be alive again. Homie curled into herself while Ivory batted at her hair, and she knew not how long she remained in that position, only that even as her body shook, her mind still focused on the vibration of her phone in her pocket and the missed calls that could compete with the growing number of her arms. She didn't return home that night, but fell asleep in the same exact spot on the mat as in Avery's apartment. Just for tonight, she let go of the thought of needing to complete all the tasks, the thought of her mother-in-law, even the thought of her family. It wasn't the sun streaming through undrawn curtains that woke her, nor was it Ivory's whine for food, but it was a lack of a headache that shook the sleep from her eyes. Homie's gait met 2 arms, only 2 arms. She glanced behind her several times to see her back bare, but already seconds later the stubs of arms began protruding, slow, wiggling their way out. And Homie knew soon her 1,000 and more arms would return as she recalled her tasks for the day, for the week, for the year. And though she would love to fly to Paris herself to purchase an overpriced magnet, the small freedom in the quiet of Avery's apartment alone would be enough for now. With a deep breath, she collapsed back onto the stained mat, embracing not her daughter, not her husband, just herself, just for today. Tomorrow, when she returned home and welcomed back her 1,000 and more arms, because it is what she must and it is what she will. Thank you.
Oh. It's funny how all of these stories have had all of these transformed bodies, and yet the truths are so relatable. The inner stories of these people are so relatable. Thank you very much. Well, I'm here every week. Next week, we won't have Wen-yi and I, but we will have Jonathan Lewis Duckworth and Karen Gussoff-Sumption. And I do recommend checking storyhour2020.com the day of the reading to see, just in case there are any changes. Storyhour2020.com is also a good place to learn about upcoming authors, and you can watch any story hours you may have missed. Watch this one over and over on the Story Hour page on Facebook. Jiang, Wen-yi, thank you so much for reading for us tonight. Thank you to my absent but soon to return co-host, Daniel Marcus, and thank you, all of you who are watching here with us in the Zoom, all of you watching on Facebook, and all of you watching at some point in the future. Because as long as you watch, as long as you absorb those stories, we're all in the same story hour. Good night.